essentials. I'll give folks a couple minutes to come on in and join us, but I will drop a quick poll in here just to kind of remind us what we're here for. But do want to welcome everyone. This is also the final ACA of the year, which is kind of crazy to think about. I got to figure out what I'll be doing with all of my time. But I promised a quick poll. If I can find the right button. Just curious how many sessions folks have been able to make it to. And I do want to pop this out. All right, we got some numbers up on the board. I love it. I think all the screen names have changed, Frank. I now see @AddFrank, but good to see you, my friend. I have been well. It's been the holidays here, or the U.S. Thanksgiving holiday, and we're going to run right into the Christmas holiday soon, so it's going to get a little bit busy. Christina, welcome. Good to see you, my friend. All right, folks, I'll give people just one more minute. I'll get some more coffee. And then we will jump in. Also, if folks have any specific questions around Loom, please drop them in the chat. Today's session is going to be focused on reviewing and then figuring out how to take and pass our exam. So we'll talk about some of the strategies and ideas that I use to help ensure I get a good score, at least good enough to get over the line. But we'll try and review as much as we can in the next hour or so. And I do have a quieter keyboard coming, I promise. All right, folks, we are going to get started. Just a quick way of introduction. My name is Rob. Hopefully some of you have seen me before, but if not, totally okay. My background's in IT and HR, mostly systems management, and I've been using Loom for about 3 years now. Found it very useful from a practical standpoint of sharing information. And I'm sharing the wrong screen, aren't I? Well, that's embarrassing. Or the wrong thing. I'll keep talking while I go fix this real quick. I found it very, very useful as a project manager because I can just go and record my update. And this made it very easy to share information. As a PM, I'm typically writing out updates and giving them to people. And that is one great way to share stuff. But if they can see me and hear me and I can point at something, it's much better for their experience in terms of understanding what's going on. So I found Loom incredibly useful for that, and they keep expanding what it can do. Please use the chat to communicate. This is intended as a learning session, so I want to make sure that you all get benefit out of this. So if you have specific questions, if there are things you are looking to learn, I expect you'll let me know. I'm just going to make sure my live chat's on the screen. There we go. Or if you have other comments, you're going to build a keyboard, Frank. Interesting. But please use the chat. Also, please like and subscribe. I do this professionally, and I really need your support to keep doing it professionally. Easiest way is to hit the like and subscribe button. And I'll drop another option in here. If you want to support the channel, you can become a channel member down in the bottom left. That will get you early access to videos and some other nice little perks, as well as one-time support is possible. So you can support the channel through a one-time, I'll say cash payment, cash donation, to help me keep doing this. But some basics on Loom. Loom is cloud-based, which is one of the biggest advantages for it. This is good because it means I don't have to fumble around with files. I don't have to worry about downloading and uploading things. It's just all in the cloud. And for me, this was my first experience with it. I just started recording videos and sharing links, and it was really easy to get started. As we've learned, though, there's 3 different platforms. There is a browser extension, and this is what I have used the most, and that's what I was first shown how to use for Chrome. Makes it very simple to get in and get stuff, and it has some unique features. For example, the ability to blur out parts of your screen as you're recording. that the mobile and desktop versions don't have. So this is an important thing to remember, especially if you're looking to earn that ACA. The browser extension has some features that desktop doesn't, and the opposite is true as well. The desktop version can do things like record clicks, or what are some of the other things? I just totally forgot about them. Take screenshots. That's the big one. So depending on what you need to do, one or the other can be more beneficial. That browser extension also can be set up to embed Loom links into things like a Gmail. So if you're sending an email to someone, you can paste in a link and it will expand it into the video like a viewing window instead of just a link, which is pretty neat. I haven't really used the mobile one yet. I'm curious if anyone watching has used mobile. If you could let me know in the chat. I just personally haven't found a use case for it. I tend to do my more work-based stuff, sitting down at a computer. And then we spoke a lot about the collaboration. This for me is also where it's very useful. When you share one of these videos, folks will see a timeline and they can comment on specific points of the video. So instead of just giving you a comment about a 5-minute video, they can tell you exactly at a certain point what they think. This has been great. Again, I pick on project updates a lot, but great for project updates because someone can put a question directly on a statement. Rob, can you clarify exactly what you meant by blank? Rob, I'm confused by this. Give me more information. Or they can give you a thumbs up. And you can also share it internally or externally. I personally tend to keep things internal, but you could use Loom to create sales videos that you're sending out to prospects. You could use Loom to make public-facing how-to documentation. And you can even require people to enter an email before they can view it or anonymous. And that gives us some analytics capability. We can see how engaged people are, which is defined, I think, as more than like 4 seconds of view time. But we have a lot of great options within Loom for sharing and then getting that information out into the world that we can't easily do. Great question from Christina. Will I create a course for Loom? I am considering how I would like to do that. And I'm going to just put a quick goal in here. So you might see a goal in your chat. I will make a course for Loom. I've considered making a course for Loom using Loom just to see how it works and to see what that looks like. So Christina, I will be building out a course for Loom on like tips and best practice. So be on the lookout for that. The exact format, though, I'm still considering. And I will target this breakdown. This is the exam breakdown, and this is what we would need to learn or just have in our head in order to earn the ACA 930, it's called. We can see a lot of it relates around creating and sharing. And like this makes a ton of sense to me, right? The whole point of Loom, I make a video, I give it to Frank, and he can do something he needs to do. Christina makes a video and sends it to me, and we can work on it to improve our knowledge somehow. So a lot of the features we're going to review today will focus on creating editing, but also sharing and collaborating. There are some content settings and like how do we manage our information that I'll also share. This is important because if you're like me, you're going to end up with a ton of Looms. If you just have a big stack of them, it's not as useful as if they're organized. Oops, wrong way. Or somehow controlled. So we'll dig into as much of this as I can in the next 40 minutes or so. But please drop in specific questions, even if they're like Christina's, where it's like, hey, are you going to record a course about this? Okay, that is all the slides I have. We're going to jump into Loom, and I'm going to go back and forth between Loom and our credential or our certification. And I'll share this link in the chat just so y'all have it. This is the official Atlassian learning site. It has everything you need to know. On here, important things. There's a start preparing for free. This button will take you to free on-demand learning. So get the most out of Loom is what I base this course around. And this is where everything you need to know about Loom, that Atlassian thinks anyway, for the exam exists. We might bounce in there and bounce out. I'll spend most of my time hands-on. Also at the top, you have your exam information. So all the details around it, who should do this, why, the breakdown. Keep in mind this is a proctored exam, so there's a $100 fee in order to take it. I'll talk more about this kind of information towards the end of this session. All right, so looking at Loom, the first thing we need to know is these tiers. You can get Loom for free, and it can do a lot of great stuff. If you don't have Loom through a business, I highly recommend this. You get 25 videos up to 5 minutes long. and it'll sit in meetings for you. So this is a relatively new feature. Loom has a meeting recorder, and it's similar to other meeting recorders. It'll transcribe things, it'll give you follow-ups, but it's a great free tool, and it's got transcriptions. So it can help translate, the closed captions. So if you have an international team, or if you're communicating with someone who speaks, if I speak only English, I could send this to, I'll pick on Frank, maybe he speaks German. It can give me a transcription in German. And then you can also do the comments and reactions. So very great basic collaboration. Where most of the features come in, though, are the business level and the AI level. So that's the middle two. In the middle one, we get the editing. So if you're trying to go in and edit a video in Loom, you need to have the business one. And this is also where you can upload videos. So the major use case for Loom is recording these things, but we can also upload. So you could use this as like a video library if you have existing content, and then use Loom's other features like editing or commenting to work on them. I do this quite a bit when I'm creating videos for people who I'm doing sponsored videos with or collaborating on, because they can comment exactly where there's something to talk about. Most of the AI stuff, though, is in the AI one. Excuse me. And this is where we'll be playing today, and where I'll be showing you a lot of these things. So just keep in mind there are these 3 tiers, and understanding the differences, mainly editing at business and then all the AI stuff here. There is a feature called Touch Up that exists on the desktop version that is not considered AI. So I need to call this out because I did not know this. Here I have the Loom. Oh no, I'm low on disk space. How did that happen? Here I have the Loom desktop app, and you can see that I'm low on disk space. I'm going to make that go away. But I have some settings that let me update my appearance, or I'll say touch up my appearance. Excuse me. Now, this is intended to help make me look a little bit better on screen, which is totally great, but this is not considered AI. So this auto lighting, noise filter, and touch up, not AI. There are other AI features that we'll see as we edit, like cutting out the ums and the ahs, and providing automatic summaries, but those are not, those touch up things are not considered AI for whatever reason. Okay, recording, as simple in the Chrome extension, and you can see it up here, just clicking on the button and then clicking Start Recording. I'll pick the screen I would like to record. Again, all the standard things. I can share system audio. These little cancel and skip buttons are new, by the way. And here we go. Important thing about the Chrome extension, I can blur. So just a reminder, I can make things disappear. And this will stay blurred even if I scroll around. And then I can resume recording and I can go back. I can also rewind. So if I realize I made a mistake, I misspoke, I want to change something, I can click rewind and trim. I can only do this online or in the Chrome extension. I might say, you know what, I need to delete everything back to here. That'll cut it out. And now when I hit play, it'll add whatever I add to that section. So this is important because when I edit my Loom, I cannot insert new content into the middle. So another important thing to consider, I can put things at the start or the end, but I can't put new video in the middle of my Loom. So if I'm using the Chrome extension and I realize I make a whoopsie, I can go in while I'm making that recording and rewind, it's called. Excuse me. That is not something I can do on the desktop version, though. So I've got to be in the Chrome browser extension to use that rewind to insert new content. I'm just going fast and furious through everything. Drop your comments. I'm going to put another poll up, and it looks like almost half of us have been to most of these. That's amazing. I'm glad you all keep coming back for more. Where is my poll button? Just a quick poll to see what you would like me to dig into. So sharing, editing, AI stuff, or other, please comment. Now I've got this video. It's going to, I have the AI version so I can go in and edit. I will also point out we can take action from these. So down here in the bottom right, I have the ability to generate a Confluence page. So I can just click on this, and Loom's going to use AI to generate this for me. So this is one good use case of that AI, and I can see folks voting for it in the chat. Thank you. um, where I just did a video on this for a course I'm working on project management. I can quickly generate other content based on my recording. Now, when I started using Loom, I would write out an update and then I would record myself talking about it. With this feature, though, I could just talk about my project update, a 5-minute video explaining the week, and then this would generate it for me. And you'll even notice it's putting in snippets and screenshots from the video with links to the timestamp, and then right back to the Loom. I have options, though, in Generate. I might say I want a how-to guide. And I can see it's waving at internet satellites, and off we go. Donald, thank you. Just everything? Okay. I'm limited to 4 options in YouTube chat. It drives me nuts. If anyone knows of better platforms for interacting, please let me know. This is a great basic thing, but I want to give more to you. So this little AI step is incredibly useful. There's also a lot of stuff around like coding or working with development teams. I want a code doc. I've never used this. I'm curious what it'll do. But the thing to know is we can use AI to generate other content. We can also use AI to generate Jira work items. So in addition to Confluence pages, I might click Create in Jira and tell it, hey, I need a new work item to be generated. So this is a great way I can work with my teams, or I can have, say, other people I work with easily put in a report or a request for something without having to know how to use Jira. They can just go in and record their Loom and select, bug report or one of these steps and make their content. We can also do things like email or a message. Massive asterisk, this is generative AI. Like all generative AI, please keep in mind we as the humans are responsible for making sure it is correct. But this is a pretty cool, it's in my mind, it's basically magic feature. All right, we've got a transcript. And again, this is what can be translated. Excuse me, finding a bit of a cold. But also settings. So I'm just going through what can I do with this. I can add a thumbnail. A lot of these features are about making the video engaging. So when we think of Loom, even when we think of sitting in the Loom exam and earning that certification, they're going to ask us, how do we make the video better for the people watching it? What can we do to make it more engaging or interesting? We can add a thumbnail. So when they see it, it's a little bit more inviting. We also have a lot of options for the audience. Now, these are all defaulted, but I've got things like closed captions, recommended playback speed. This is an interesting one. I tend to listen to videos at like 2x. Loom defaults to 1.2, which is enough to like speed us up. So I leave these on because I find it makes it easier for folks to engage and get something out of this. There are use cases, though, if you want to disable comments or recording a reply. So if you're sharing this externally with the whole world, you might want to turn off some things like analytics and download, etc. But in general, I leave these open because I want people engaged and working with me. So all these settings can be done by default. There's a set defaults for your account, or on a video by video basis. So always worth jumping in here every once in a while and just taking a look at these defaults and adjusting them. Ooh, maybe I always want that noise filter on. That's a good one. Okay, so that's recording. Sharing is as simple as just grabbing the link, and I am guilty of this. I tend to just copy and paste the link. I'm very, very lazy. There is, however, a number of things we can do with that link, especially if we're using the Chrome version. And I'll see if I can grab... Yeah, I think I can share this. Here we go. I'll just grab this link real quick. And I think I've got this installed properly. I can paste that link in, and you'll notice it expanded. It's not just a hyperlink. And this is because I'm using the Chrome extension. It's reading that Loom link and embedding it in here. And it's even pulling in like the description. So just another way I make this more engaging for folks. Again, this only works with the Chrome extension, not with only desktop. But in some apps, it will auto-expand. Now, it also auto-expands in every Atlassian app. So if you paste the link into a Jira work item or into a Confluence page, it can also pop it open for you. One of the great advantages of Loom working with Atlassian or being owned by Atlassian. All right, editing. One more way to share. There's a plus share button. I am really guilty of not using the plus share button. And I think that is because I learned using these systems with no training. So I just would copy the link. The share button gives you a little bit more though. You can share it with specific people in your organization. You can control link access. So this is an important one. I'll click on more, but I can control anyone with the link has nothing. And I have to add explicit names. So one way to control your video is to say only Alex and all the community leaders can see it. Or maybe only Alex. And he can view it. Or you might say anyone can view it. And I'll actually add a password. So maybe only certain customers I send this to, and then I email them a password separately. So we have a lot of options in how we control access to this. We can say anyone in our company, or only people added. The default tends to be people in your company. And again, I want Loom to be open. I want people to be able to see and access these. So I tend to leave it anyone in my company. However, if you have something particularly sensitive, you can lock it down to just explicit people. You can also share the video at a certain timestamp. So this is a great feature if you want to skip someone forward to a certain point in the video so they get specific information. You can also share it externally. This allows you to connect email to it. You've got social links. I haven't honestly used these too much. My use cases tend to be internal, but something to Christina's point around a course for Loom, maybe I'll explore with how can I share it out on LinkedIn as videos and our embed link. So there's a lot of great ways we can share this out. Again, it's intended to be a collaborative platform. Now that I've got this video, though, we're going to edit it quickly. Again, editing requires the business or AI tier. In this case, I've got the AI tier. So I've got some edits that have automatically been added. It's guessed edit title. And again, this is the AI. I, of course, can change it, and I really should double check it. But AI is helping me out. It's making it easier for me to focus on the content and making an engaging video than trying to figure out what do I call this thing. I tend to always use remove silences. There'll be a couple of gaps when we record where we're just thinking or like staring blankly at the camera. That's a good one. And you've heard me use filler words. These are the ums, the ahs, the is that we just naturally have. We can remove those. Again, AI is taking a look at it. So I tend to click both of these just to smooth things out. It's entirely dependent on you, though. Sometimes a video that doesn't have any filler words sounds fake or off or weird because we as humans have these little ums and ahs naturally. And if there are none, people go, oh, that sounds a little too scripted, a little too, perfect. But I'm just going to click Edit and Enhance. So those are some of the AI features, the auto silence removing, the filler words. What we're seeing here is my editor. And if you recall when we filmed this, we clicked that rewind button and we cut out this middle bit. One nice thing about Loom is even if we cut something out, it's still in the file or it's still in the video. So I could, if I realize I made a mistake, add it back just by dragging the slider around. And you'll also notice on the right here, I can see the transcript. It includes in gray and strike through the part that's been cut. So I can just click on this to replace it. Or I can use AI to add something else. I'm going to come back to that AI in a second. I can restore it. There we go. If I want to add it back to the video. So if I have particular words I want to include or exclude, it's as easy as just clicking and deleting. The other thing I can do, they have this replace audio, and it's using AI. So this is a beta feature. I don't know if this is on the exam or not, but just another example of how they're exploring ways AI can help us. Personally, I prefer just to re-record the video if I realize I made a lot of mistakes, or to find some way to adjust them. But this can be a way to correct small things. If I say can instead of can't, maybe I'll use this to help replace that. I wouldn't recommend using this to make, say, a whole video. I'm a very big fan of, hey, it's Rob I want to see, or I want to see Frank, not AI number 6. While I'm editing, I can use this waveform at the bottom to edit. I can just click. I use split a lot and then delete. And that'll let me delete things. And I can add a clip. Keep in mind I can only add clips at the start or the end. And so here we can see the clip we just recorded, and then to the right, the next clip. So I could click and drag this and put it, I think, at the front. Yep. But I can't, as of now, put this in the middle. So if I have an opening that I want to put on every video, maybe like some hype music or something, I could record that as one video and then put it in each of them separately. And this would make it a little bit easier to handle everything. Where is... I don't know where it went. In the editor, I can also do things like add an overlay. So I can add text on top of my video. And what you'll see happen in my editor at the bottom, this text bar will let me indicate where I want it to be. So I can have text just kind of pop up. Boop. And so now if I watch this video, happened. And here we go. This text appears. Important thing about the Chrome extension, I can blur and I can go. This is a great way to give better context. I can also do overlays like an arrow. If I want to point at the one, and I blurred it out, so that's going to make it kind of hard to explain it. But go back to that section. I can have arrows show up. I can have boxes. Again, making the video engaging. It's not just a recording of Rob talking. It's a recording of Rob talking with additional information to help me understand the topic better. And that's really the point of Loom, ensuring other people understand what I'm trying to communicate without having to sit down in a room or on a live call and do it. Another kind of nice, I'll call it quality of life or just quality of video, QOV, I guess, is adding this background. And it gives me this nice kind of frame. So instead of existing in a black void of like just the video, giving it some kind of nice frame, it could be a gradient, it could be an image you have. Again, makes it look and feel a bit nicer than if it's just hanging out on its own. So this is something I personally haven't used, mainly because I didn't know it was there, I'll be honest, until I started taking this course and figuring out the exam. But something else we can do to give the video a little bit of pop or a little bit more interest than just, oh, it's a video. All right, folks, if you'll excuse me just 1 second. And we're back. Sorry, the cold's getting to me. So in addition to Loom, recording and editing, we also need to consider what is the audience getting. And that's where this AI of like removing silences, removing filler words is very, very helpful. And we'll see if it finds any. Oh, it found one. Look at that. Right here. Once I click finish, this will then just be folded into the actual video. And the edits are live instantly. I don't have to render the video or upload it. And that for me is a great plus because before Loom, I would have to go record the video in QuickTime, download it, or have it on my computer, edit it in some program, upload it, share it, etc. Here it's just auto-magically available. Go away. Really should not use that as an excuse. Stay. And now I can see that video and it's all just tied together into one seamless thing with all these pop-ups. All right, editing AI stuff. Hopefully that got to the editing questions folks have. Again, that shows up at the first tier, the business tier. Collaborating on this is as simple as watching it. The Chrome extension, I can blink and I can go back to that section. And then if I pause it, any comment or any reaction I add shows up on the timeline. I really like this. This is one of my favorite things about Loom because it means I can come in here and see exactly who said what and exactly what they're talking about. Or if they're just adding reactions, a little surprise face shows up. Or what else do we have? Ooh, fire. I think fire's supposed to be good. I think of fire as maybe being a bad thing. But we can see the team's reactions in here. All right, AI stuff. Spoke about that. That's where we've got our generation, like creating other content based on this, and also within the editor, all of the enhancements. And again, the desktop extension has the smooth my appearance, the fixed lighting, the fixed audio. That is not considered AI. That is a separate thing. Don't know why, but it is. So organizing. I'll take a couple minutes to talk about this. It does appear on our exam, but it is important. You can even see in my Loom, which I don't use all that much, I just have a bunch of rando videos. This is going to make it hard over time to maintain things. You'll end up with hundreds. It's like any system. If we don't have a way to manage it, we're going to get buried. So we can add hashtags. You'll notice this video has a hashtag in the name, hashtag tag. These tags can help you organize content. So just like you would search through Google or YouTube or Twitter or X or whatever it's called now, you can use the tags to allow people to find information. Excuse me. Now the tags do take, it's like 2 days to fully integrate into the system, or a day. I forget the exact time frame, but it's one way to organize things in search. And you can see they even call it out in the search. There's tags here. Another easy way though is just folders. You can just click and drag and move videos into different folders. What we're seeing here, though, is your own personal library. So other people don't see all these. It's just me. So this is my own personal organization. And this is an important term. Library is what you control, what you own. Additionally, there are spaces. So these are all the spaces I might have access to. So here there's an all community leaders space, and it's got one video that's been shared. 1,700 members. This is shared amongst all the members. My library is just my own. So that's an important concept. We also have workspaces. And I think spaces and workspace are a similar idea, but you can make your own space. You can make it open. Anyone in your organization can join, or closed, only invited people. So again, giving us some ability to control access and control sharing. If it's particularly sensitive, make it closed. Put a password on the video so only certain people get to see it. Typically, though, I'm making open things because I want everyone to have access. It entirely depends on your use case or needs. But here I can make a new space. Loom Essentials videos. I'll leave it open. And now I can add videos in here. Boop. And I spelled video wrong. But this is now listed under View All Spaces. So I now have another way to organize things. This could be by teams, engineering, HR, etc. It could be by project. It could be by type of work. There's really no limit or no restriction on how I do this. I tend to think of these, again, just as ways to organize what I have. And anytime I have a larger group that I'm working with, I might make a new space to give them that information. All right, I need to get to the exam soon. There is a recents menu that tracks where you've been. And apparently I haven't watched anything yet, so that doesn't really help us. And then I've got all of my settings. So I've got my personal settings. This is where I'll see things like my Atlassian account. But at the bottom, I can set my default workspace. Where will things go by default? I can leave workspaces. And I can even move my videos from one workspace into a separate one. I do have the ability to download comments and notes. I don't know why I would do this unless I wanted to data mine them. This is not removing it from Loom. So this is not saying like delete my account. This is just saying give me a copy of everything I've written. I've got all of my meeting recordings I have to connect, Google or Outlook. But push notifications are something we should always take a look at. By default, like with most systems, you're going to get a lot of notifications from Loom. I always recommend folks come in here and at least take a look at them just to know what's possible, and then just shut things off that they don't like. I don't care if someone follows me. I don't care if someone responds to a task. Whatever makes sense for you. Because one of the biggest complaints about systems is I get all these emails. How do I make the emails stop? Well, it's because this is all turned on. And again, that's just under settings, push notifications. Integrations. This is where the links will embed if you're using the Chrome extension. So these are all the apps that it natively supports. So when you paste in a link into, say, Product Hunt, it'll automatically expand. Individuals can turn this off, though. I don't want it to happen in Dropbox. I just hit the button. And then we've got our quick record. This is a little floating recorder that will show up on different sites. This can drive people crazy. I'll see if I can force it to show up. It's this little icon in the bottom left. I find it useful most of the time, unless I'm trying to use something in the bottom left of the screen. But you can see a lot of websites support this, again, available through the Chrome extension, not the desktop app. And there's one thing I missed on sharing. Come here. And then I'll jump into the exam. Nope, not what I wanted. We do get view analytics on videos. So I can see it's been viewed once. They viewed 65% of it. And if we can set it up to require an email or come here. Require an email to access. So ask for email, require an email, or make it anonymous. So depending on your use case, you can collect a little bit of information, like what are people's emails. It's not validated. It's just whatever they type in. So keep that in mind. But when I share this out and people click on it, unless they're logged into Loom, they'll be prompted for that. And that's how I got robert@example.com. So if I'm sending this out to a lot of people, if it's a how-to article, a sales thing, I can kind of track who's viewing it. And then I can click in and see, oh, Rob saw it once, 65% on this date. So another way to gather information about the audience to either inform what we want to do next, make a better video, or to share it out more effectively. All right, folks, not too much in the chat, so I assume not too many questions, which is totally okay. I'm just going to talk about the exam itself for a couple minutes, and then we'll wrap up. The exam is 30 questions, or up to 30 questions, and you have to answer about 20 of them correctly, like 21. Now, it's broken down by this exam topics, so we can expect most of the questions to be about creating and sharing, which again makes total sense. The whole point of Loom is to share and create. And I'm laughing because my poll has a 4-way split between all 4 topics, so I'm going to close that down for now. So if you're considering earning this exam, spend most of your time practicing how to create and edit and share and collaborate. You know, grab a partner at work, grab a friend, reach out to me, and we can start playing around with it. So just so you get it in your body. And that's a really important thing. You can go through the free learning path, which again is linked here, and I'll drop this in. Oh, it's still up on the screen. This free learning path. But really where you're going to get the most impactful studying is by getting hands-on, by going in and trying all this stuff. You know, go in and make a video. Donald, go in and share it with someone, put it out on the internet and ask for emails and see what happens, see what the analytics look like. Now, in terms of when you take the exam, I tend to give myself, if I decide I want to do the exam, I ask myself, how familiar am I with the topic? And this is very subjective. It's all about me. I say, okay, I'm very familiar. I'm going to give myself 1 month between today and the exam, and that's when I'll go do it. And this is important for me to pick a date, because if I don't do that, it's never going to happen. I don't have that pressure, that thing in the future that says, ooh, I got to go do this. So that's some quick advice right there. Pick a date and just put it on your calendar and then sign up for the exam. Now, this is going to commit you. It's $100 to take the exam. Many organizations have some kind of learning stipend. So talk to your manager about this if you think it's valuable, and see if your organization can reimburse you or has some program to help you take it. But that can be a great way to cover this particular cost of the exam. There is another cost, though, and that's going to be your time studying. Again, you've got to answer 30 questions in under 60 minutes. So you get 2 minutes per question, which is a good amount of time to sit there and examine them. Now, the nice thing about Atlassian is if you go into this learning path under Start Preparing for Free, I've got Get the Most Out of Loom. Each of these sections will have little quizzes at the end. And those quizzes will be very similar to what you see on the exam. So if you go all the way to the bottom of these modules, you'll have these quizzes. Now, these quizzes are very useful. They're going to show you what it's like to answer these questions, but they're also going to give you justification. Even if you get it right, well, it doesn't matter if you get it right or wrong, you'll see this. This is really useful because it will explain why these particular answers are important. So I always read these, even if I get it right, just to see why the nice people at Loom think that this is the appropriate answer. Because that's going to help me learn the system, but also prepare for the exam. The exam is not going to give you that justification. You'll just put in your answer, hit next, and you don't get any feedback. All the exam questions are also going to be multiple choice. So what we're looking at is a bad example. Let me go find a better example. That's also a bad example. There we go. You're going to have some kind of question and then 4 possible answers. 3 of these answers will be wrong. The term is a distractor. 1 will be correct. It's your job to figure out the correct one. While you're taking the exam, you'll have to log into a system called Certmetric, I think. There is a highlighter feature. I use that highlighter. It's a little button you click. I use that highlighter to highlight wrong answers. And this is my own idea. But then I visually know, okay, it's not the desktop app. I know that. I remember something Rob said. It's not any Loom recorder because it can't also be the desktop app. And that helps me narrow down the options. Anything I can do to tell myself that one is wrong makes it easier for me to find the right one. So I'll go through and eliminate all the wrong answers that I can find. And then I'll read the question again and make my decision. Usually your first answer is the highest likelihood of being correct. So typically I don't change them. However, if I'm really unsure, I will flag the question. So there'll be a button that lets you flag it to come back for later. So if I don't know the answer to this, I would flag it and just go to the next question. I don't want to spend too much time worrying about it. I want to get through all the questions. And then at the end, if I hit I'm done, it'll say, hang on, you flagged 7 questions. I'll go review them. That gives my mind time to consider what could be the answer and then maybe to get ideas on other questions and come back, and then I'll make a decision. So I'll flag questions I'm not sure about. If I can't answer them at all, I'll definitely flag them. Or if I'm like, I can't tell, it could be Chrome, it could be mobile, I'll pick the one I think, I'll flag it, and I'll return to it later. Again, the idea is I want to get through all the questions to make sure there's at least an answer on everything before I come back and start trying to figure out what could be correct here. So that's my strategy when I'm taking the exam, sitting down and trying to answer the questions. And again, typically I'm not going to change it. I'll sit down and think about it. But if I think Chrome extension is correct and I come back later, I typically leave it. So any questions about the exam, folks? Again, it's going to be broken down by what we saw there. There is another great study resource we get free through Atlassian. And that's at the bottom of this prep resources. Every Atlassian certification has these, but this will have things like exam hints. It's not going to tell you the answers, but it's going to give you a lot of information that I highly recommend you study because it's highly likely some of this stuff will show up. It also has more sample questions, again, in the format of the exam, just to help you practice. Donald, I love this. Edge is Microsoft's browser, I believe. I have not ever tried it in Edge. I would be curious, though. I'm going to drop a link. I've got a Discord community. I'll see if I can ask it in there if you want to see follow-up, if you're not in there already. I've only ever used it in Chrome. Why is Streamlabs in here? I've been tinkering with other platforms to use. Streamlabs is one of them, and I don't know why there is no poll for favorite color. Please ignore that. How do I make that go away? Go away, Streamlabs. I'm unaware of any issues with Edge, Donald. They explicitly call it the Chrome extension, though. So it could be worth giving it a shot just to see what happens. I would say, though, we couldn't guarantee it does everything we expect. So hopefully that's helpful. But these prep resources are great. I use them for every exam because it's got these hints. And again, this isn't saying this will be on the exam, but the fact that Atlassian put it in something called exam prep is a really good indicator that something like this will appear. It's also good because it's kind of their highlights of what we should know. Like, what do we need to know about advanced editing with AI? Oh, it's all right here in a paragraph. Oh, all right, folks. That was my spiel on Loom. This is not formatted well, but please go schedule your exam if you want to take it. But definitely get hands-on. The more experience you have with these systems, the easier it'll be. Try things out. Like Donald asked about Edge. Go see what happens if you put that Chrome extension in Edge. I'm actually kind of curious. Review all the recordings, though. We've got 3 sessions that dig into all of the exam topics. There'll be a playlist on my YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe. Again, I'm a professional YouTuber now. And consider becoming a channel member. There's a QR code in the bottom left, and I'll drop a link here if you're curious. You get advanced access to videos and some other neat things in streams, as well as shoutouts. And when I meet you in person, I'll buy you a coffee as a thank you. Also, I really like coffee. There is no next week session. I forgot to remove that from the board. There are no more ACA studies this year, though, so please keep that in mind. What I'll be doing is starting up a new ACA in January. And that will be the Jira Service Management Essentials. So this is for Jira Service Management and for, I believe, an agent, someone who's working on work items. So we'll dig into that in January. Otherwise, please reach out to me, robert@heen.tech. Check out my website, learn.heen.tech. And I do have a Black Friday sale ending today. Everything over at that site, learn.heen.tech, is 30% off, including courses with exam vouchers. So definitely something folks should look into if you're curious for learning. But I do want to thank you all for learning about Loom with me. I certainly learned a lot, especially around the differences between the Chrome and desktop versions. Frank is asking, how's it taking the ACAs after the ACPs? The ACAs are Atlassian Certified Associate. They're intended more for end user or super users. The ACP, Atlassian Certified Professional, intended more for admins. They are to a different audience. They feel easier. This is true. They're shorter. You only have 1 hour instead of 3. But it's for a slightly different purpose. For example, Jira Service Management Essentials may contain concepts or ideas that are not in the ACP 420 for Jira, managing Jira Service Management. There is some overlap. The preparation is certainly easier because it's less intense, but I'm not going to say it's necessarily easier because the content and what it's testing you on is different. You will see a lot of similarities, but there are a lot of differences. So Frank, I'll be curious your thoughts though when you start taking ACAs. Definitely check out my site. I've got ACA prep courses with exam vouchers just to make it easier for folks to afford things. All right, folks. I'll keep the chat open for a bit, but that's all I had for today. I want to say thank you all again for learning with me. I really appreciate it. Check me out on the internets, learn.heen.tech. Great resource. Can't recommend it enough. I'll quickly pop that up here. If it loads. Oh, my internet. Oh, no. But again, everything 30% off. There's even a free Everything You Need to Know About Confluence mini certification course right at the top. But thank you all again. I'll see you. I have more live sessions until the end of the year, but this is the last ACA, and I hope to see you all on the 16th in January for Jira Service Management Essentials. So thank you again. Have a great day wherever you are, and I look forward to seeing you here again soon.